We've been given a couple of functions and we would like to find the x-intercepts and the y-intercepts. We're going to start off with the easier of the two and find the y-intercept for both of these functions. Every single point on the y-axis has an x-coordinate of 0. So what you want to do is replace the x's with 0 in the function. If I go in and replace all of the x's with 0 and simplify, then I end up getting negative 20. So I plugged in 0 and got out negative 20. So my y-intercept for this function is 0, negative 20. Okay, just one more example, very similar. I want to find my y-intercept for this function, and every point on the y-axis has an x-coordinate of 0, which is why we're going to go in and replace every x with 0. If you're using good notation, you're putting a set of parentheses where the x used to be before you insert 0, allowing you to type that straight across in your calculator or do that in your head. I end up getting out 0. So I substituted 0, I got out 0. So my y-intercept in this function is 0, 0. Okay, then we want to also find the x-intercepts, and that's a little bit more effort. If you want to find the x-intercept, every single point on the x-axis, the y-coordinate is 0, because you go right or left an amount and then up nothing. So we are going to go in and replace the y with 0 and solve. So I'm going to say equals 0. And then on the right side, for me to solve this, I'm going to need to factor. I have 4 separate terms, so I'm going to factor by grouping here. I'm grouping the front 2 together, and I'm looking what's in common to both of those. They both have an x to the second power, so starting there, if I take out an x to the second power out of x to the third, I'm left with x. Take out an x to the second out of 5x squared, and I'm left with 5. So I have x squared multiplied by the leftover x plus 5. Similarly on the back half, I'm grouping those two, looking for what's in common. But if you remember, when you do this, you are going to get a match. So you're thinking, what did I take out of negative 4x and negative 20 to be left with x plus 5? Well, negative 4 taken out would leave me with a positive x, and negative 4 taken out of negative 20 divided by negative 4 is positive 5. So what was in common here was negative 4. Once we've taken out what's in common to the front half and to the back half, and we get the match, then we're really focused on what's in common in the front half and the back half, and we're going to take that out. So if I take out x plus 5 out of the front half, I'm left with x squared. And if I take x plus 5 out of the back half, I'm left with negative 4. So I've got this factored. You could FOIL this back together, and you'd be right back here. I need to finish factoring, however, because x squared minus 4 is the difference of squares. A squared minus b squared equals a plus b times a minus b. So x squared minus 4 is x plus 2 times x minus 2, and we have that x plus 5. Finally, we have it factored, so we're ready to set each piece equal to 0 and solve. Solving this one, I get negative 5. Solving this one, I get negative 2, and this one positive 2. And so my x-intercepts are the coordinates negative 5, 0, negative 2, 0, and 2, 0. Okay, so one more example of the same thing. This time we only have 3 terms, but we're still looking for what's in common as your first step to factoring. And I'd really like the front to be a positive. So every one of those has an x in it. So I'm going to take out, once I have that equal to 0, I'm going to take out a negative x. So taking out a negative x out of negative x cubed leaves me with x squared. A negative x out of x squared leaves me with negative x. And a negative x out of 12x leaves me with negative 12. You can redistribute that back through to get back to the previous line just to verify. Then we're ready to factor this. We've factored using the big X method, but however, if you factor that, thinking of two numbers that multiply together to get -12 and add up to -1, that's -4 and +3. So this factors to x minus 4 times x plus 3. Finally, we have the whole thing in factored form, so we're ready to set each piece equal to 0 and solve. This one here, I'll divide by -1, and 0 divided by anything is 0. Adding 4, I get 4. Subtracting 3, I get -3. So my x-intercepts are these coordinates.